How's that, Mom? Better? For some reason, I didn't turn the receiver on. So there it is. Now we're better. Hopefully that's better. So good morning, Mom. Good morning, bald head. Okay, good. Good. Glad to hear it's better. All right. Oh, so there we are. That's hopefully that has rectified everything. So, like I said, welcome back to the show. We're going to be here all week, and Friday. Just a reminder, we will not be having our live stream because I have to go and to my uncle's funeral. So that's going to be during the same time as our normal broadcast time. So that's going to be off for the day. So today's call, like I said, like I was saying, today's brewer is the Kalita Tall, and this is the Tall brewer. It's made by Kalita of Japan. You're probably familiar with the Kalita Wave. This is different than the Wave, as you know that the Wave, you probably are familiar, is kind of this basket-shaped coffee filter brewing system. This, as you can see, is a wedge, and this is actually not really available in the United States, or it's really hard to get here. It's really available in other markets, Japan. This one actually was given to me as a gift by a friend of mine who is the Philippine distributor for Kalita, Raymond So. He gave it to me quite a number of years ago. He's like, "Hey man, have you tried this?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Here, take this with you and try it." And I was like, I was actually in a phase where I was like, I don't really need more stuff. And I almost told him no, but I was like, he wanted to give me a gift. So very kind of him. Thank you, Raymond. I really appreciate it. And as you can see, there are ribbings here to help keep the filters off of the wall. Now, I'll be honest with you. Almost all brewers have some sort of ribbing. I really don't know if it works. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I see the filters in there, and once the filters get wet, they just kind of suck up to the wall and kind of form to what it's like a mold. It just kind of goes and does its thing, and you're like, okay, is it really able to flow behind it? That bypass type brewing? I don't think so. So I don't know. But anyway, this is a nice little brew. I've used it several times. I've made a couple of videos about this that I actually have linked in the description below. I think it's a really nice travel brewer. Like, it's designed it has this kind of cutout here, right? So that when you're brewing with it, it sits here, and there's this actual kind of like this hole. It kind of looks like Napoleon, right? Right here, wearing Napoleon's cap like this. But this little notch here, I discovered is pretty nice because especially if you're using it on an opaque vessel, that little hole allows you to look down into the cup, so you can see the flow and you can see just how much liquid you've poured on it, right? So I think that's a really nice kind of touch and feature for it, and it's very versatile. Also, it's very durable, relatively pliable. I've just tossed this in the bag on my hand carrier, mostly check-in, and so I like this because if you really want to travel and make coffee, which I don't. Like, you'll see videos of me on the road making coffee, but I'm really making coffee only because I'm making those videos, not because I would normally travel with brewing devices. I really dislike. I travel enough that I want to lighten my load as much as possible. Like, I don't want to carry anything that I don't have to, especially now that we're in YouTube. I've got even more gear to bring with me. So I'm like, the least amount of gear that I can bring, that is the ideal. So even something like this small, I don't want to do it. What's up, Brian? Good to see you, man. Happy Halloween to all of you guys. So also, one things that I do espouse, like, you'll see a lot of guys on YouTube and they're like, you must, bring your own brewing apparatus. You must bring your own grinder. You must bring all this gear. And I'm just like, why do I want to do that? I don't want to do that. I don't. I've done, and part of that, and the hand grinding thing, I hate that. Hate that with passion. Like, I don't want to ever do that. Why? Because when I started out in the business and I was the apprentice, and I was traveling, who has to do all the work? The FNG, right? So when I was the FNG, 5 o'clock, got to get up, bust out the Zassenhaus, bust out the coffee, get the boiler running, bring out the, my mentor used to travel with all this stuff, bring out the big old Bodum, like travel French press, and at 5 in the morning, 5:30, for 4 people. 4 people, you know how much that is? That's like 64 grams of coffee. I did it because I was the FNG, but I never want to do that again. Like all these guys, they talk about like the Comandante. Like I remember when the guys that started Comandante, I ran into them in Costa Rica when they were still developing it, and they were showing me, what do you think? And I was like, it's very nice, nicely done. But I would never buy it. Like I'm not going to buy that. Like there's really not any kind of scenario that I want to go somewhere in the world and hand grind coffee. Like none. I'll wait and go to a proper coffee shop and let them make coffee for me. Now, if I have to make coffee, then I can make compromise because I'm traveling, right? So that's what we're going to talk a little bit more today, is doing some kind of compromise while traveling. And Dan, how are you, man? Good to see you. This is definitely something that's unusual here in the United States because this is the Kalita Tall. It's not I can't find one for sale in the United States. Kalita USA does not bring it in. It's available sometimes on Amazon. I do have an Amazon link to it. It works sometimes. It doesn't work other times. You could probably go I'm sure you can go to Amazon Japan and order it there. And there is a service that I don't really do this because I'm not this crazy yet. One of my friends, what he does, he has an Amazon Japan account, and he also has an account with this company. I will try to remember that and put it in the description at some point in time. But it's a forwarding service. So he buys all this stuff from Amazon Japan. Like he wants to buy a rice cooker. He buys the rice cooker at Amazon Japan, sends it to this freight forwarder, and then eventually they'll send it to him here in the United States. It only costs like 10% extra, so it's not terrible. But you can do that if you're interested to try to get this. The Kalita Tall, it's really convenient. It's super convenient. So what we're going to do is, and it does use a different, so if you've got the Kalita 185 wave filters, they will not work with this because, as you can see, it is a wedge shape, right? So for that, we need the Kalita 101s. And these are small, what they call 1 to 2 cup filters. I do like their Scotch pattern, the little flannelly. So here we are, Kalita coffee filter 101s, and they will just basically fit in here as thus. I always like to fold things, right, just to make it sit flatter. This one will fold this way. Like honestly, I haven't used this in quite a while. But that way it sits nice and flat. Right, there it is. And that's pretty much your setup. Right, so pretty nice. Now I mentioned to you, since we're talking about this as a potential brewer for travel, which is really nice because, you could take a couple filters, or you could just take this whole filter pack if you really want to. Put it in your pocket. You can put this in your other pocket. You can wear your suit jacket. You could have all your brewing device in it. Why would you do that? I don't know. But let's say you wanted to do that. You could even do this on the plane if you really wanted to. I never do that on the plane. You saw all the guys that I know, they like to brew AeroPress on the plane. I don't do that. Why am I going to do that? Even on 15-hour flights, I don't do that. Have I been tempted? I think I have been. Maybe I'll make a video about it one day. Next time I'm on a big long flight, I'll make a video. Just for you guys. Anyway, so what I recommend, and a lot of people that are coffee geeks will be very upset, and they tend to get very wild about this, is that I recommend pre-ground coffee. Right? Go get your favorite coffee when you're traveling, pre-grind it at home or at the shop. We have a nice grinder, we have good quality, and grind it and put it back in its bag, seal it up. Most of the time, like this, I package this because I was making a video with it before, and I package it this way only because I'm making a video. But really, if I'm traveling by myself and I'm not making a video, I'm really just using Ziploc bags. I'll put the coffee that I need in a Ziploc bag because I can throw it away. I mean, I can throw this away too, but it's super simple. Pre-ground, and I've got it ground I have access to big grinders, so I get nice quality grind. Now, people will argue like, oh, you're not getting the freshest coffee. That's true. You're not getting the freshest coffee. Absolutely 100% the best way to make your coffee is to grind to order. The moment that you decide you want to make coffee, the moment before you pour your water, you want to grind that coffee so it's super fresh. Absolutely the best way to do it. No doubt. However, when you're traveling, there's compromise, right? You're not going to have the best conditions at all the times. And, you don't know what's out there in the world. Depending where you go and you really want to have coffee, you may not have access to nice quality coffee. This, by grinding your own coffee, you already have your coffee with you. It's not the 100% freshness that it could be, but chances are that depending where you are in the world, this will be superior to whatever you have at the hotel, for sure. But the hotel stuff is terrible, right? Superior. This will be superior to a majority of the coffee shops that are around you if you have the time to go. So that's why I'm a fan of pre-ground coffee, because I don't have to grind the coffee with a hand grinder, which I hate, and I don't have to carry the hand grinder. And if I lose this, not a big deal. If I lose the hand grinder, like a $300+ Comandante, I'm going to be upset. Like my bag got stolen a year ago at BWI Airport when I came home. Some guy walked up, took the bag off the thing, and walked away with it. And whatever's in there, I lost, which was quite a bit. So, this just helps, and I kind of like it this way, right? So let's get into it. Let's see how much we can fit in here. We're going to go and look at I think I can fit 24 grams. I think I have done 24 grams of this before. Yeah, totally. 24 will fit. All right, 24 grams, perfect. And we're going to just brew that into our little vessel here. We're going to shake it around to, be careful of spouts because they will slide off. So make sure you orient your brewing kettle the right way. We're going to tear the scale. We're going to turn on our timer. Reset that. Good. And we're just going to grab our Kalita. Today we're going to use the Kalita Pelican just because it's here. If I was brewing this in a hotel room, I would just use whatever hot water kettle source we have, just because, again, I don't want to carry anything with me. So Baldhead says, you have been scarred by your FNG experience. Absolutely. That was definitely a scarring experience. I once traveled with an espresso machine. I love that. Car camping, but now don't travel as much. And sometimes, actually, my schedule is changing, so I will not be traveling in the next year or so with as much frequency as I had, which is fine with me. I'm glad to be home a little bit more now. I haven't actually traveled since I got back in June. All right, so let us get our water. So as you can see, it's a smaller surface, and the water's already flowing through. So you kind of have to manage that. We have 25 grams in there, and pretty much now it's flowed through it. There's really not much space. I'm just trying to wet it all. In this particular style of brewing, because there's so little space, so little volume in this area, we can't really raise the bed as much as we would under normal circumstances. So now 54 grams, still under a minute. And I'm kind of using a different pattern. As you can see, kind of like going across, because really I just want to keep as much of the coffee saturated as possible. As you can see here, there's also little ripple folds, right? To me, that really says that it's kind of sticking to the wall. Now, over here, it is pulled away from the wall. So there could be some of that bypass that people talk about. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. So I don't know. Like the fold here has a little bit of a hole in it. But as you can see, the ripples kind of indicate that it is being pushed up against the wall. We're at 120 grams, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Now, to be honest with you, this coffee I roasted and ground quite a long time ago. This is not, by no stretch of the imagination would I say this is freshly ground coffee. We're talking months now, months and months and months of aging. And, here's the thing. So I'm not even like treating this bag very well. Like I kind of don't really, like it's been sitting around here, kind of just folded up. The sealing tape is worn out. So it's constantly being exposed to air. It's not like frozen or anything. There's no special handling. So we're going to see how it turns out. All right, 2 minutes, 20 seconds, 172 grams. I think we're a little bit slow. I'm going to need to speed it up. I did put a fairly medium fine grind to this coffee. Now, I do think that the finer you grind the coffee, the faster it will, quote unquote, stale, just because there's so much more air exposed, so much more coffee exposed to the air now. So oxidation can take an effect. Now, again, it's always a question of, compromise. I think everything's a question of compromise, right? Like for me, I'm willing to compromise to, Baldhead says pre-ground coffee, but you're using, it's the great irony. It's the great irony. Oh my gosh, we are falling behind 3 minutes, 10 seconds, and only 230 grams. We're going to have to go a little bit faster. That is the great irony. Well, we do want to measure out with some level of accuracy. But we are far behind the curve, 3 minutes, almost 4 minutes. We're only at 3:15. We really need to be finishing right around now. I'm just going to go ahead and see how far can we push this. All right, there we're 4 minutes. We're still going to let this fall. So we're going to probably about 4 minutes, 30 seconds, maybe 4 minutes, 45 seconds, which is a little bit longer. But, if you're doing this in a hotel room, you're not going to, you could, because if you have your phone, you can totally have a timer. You won't normally have a scale, and that's all right. You could kind of like guesstimate how much water to boil in your kettle typically like there'll be a 12-ounce bottle, right, of water, or like some kind of vessel, like a cup or something that I can figure out this is maybe 10 ounces. And I'll just kind of ratio it that way, put as much water in as possible. All right, so that's pretty much it right there. There it is. The Kalita tall. And, like you'd imagine, cleanup is quite simple, just kind of done, right? And then you could rinse this out in your, I'm going to rinse it out with a little bit of hot water. And you just rinse it out and you're pretty much done. You could dry it out or just leave it out and toss it back in your bag and you don't have to worry about it. It's super, super simple and easy to use. And it's plastic. It's a pretty high impact plastic. So if you shove it in your check-in with your clothes, there's very little chance anything's going to happen to this. You would really have to crush your bag in order to crush this, right? So that's a really nice thing about it. All right, so let's have a look at our brew. our old stale coffee. You know, compared to other coffees that we have on here, it's a fairly dark roast. I mean, you know, fairly dark brew. The roasting is a little bit darker. This is more of a medium roasted coffee. And yeah, that's no, it's a bit of a woodsy smell. This one gets a little bit of roastiness to it. Yeah, there's a little bit of bitterness. Now, a lot of these are characteristics that are coming from some older coffees. Like this is a little bit of this is probably more of a medium plus roast, like really getting start into the start of second crack. You know, nothing, you know, now this coffee, when did I make this? I made this coffee. I ground and bagged this. Is this what I brought to Asia? This may have been what I brought to, I may have brought this to, what do you call it, to Ireland back in February. So this could be 10 months old by now. But, you know, for 10-month coffee, not bad. Now, we're not getting delicate nuance and expressiveness from the coffee, right? We're not getting any of that. Like that's, you know, if that was part of this, that's been gone for a while. But what we are getting is a nice, rounded, little bit of bitter, you know, some chocolate notes, good body, just a nice, generally good, solid coffee to start your day if you're at a hotel and you want that. And we're talking about now coffee that's 10 months old. So that's kind of where it is, you know, in its journey as a ground coffee. It's just kind of, you know, rounded, bitter, not very sweet, good solid medium plus body, medium plus roasting. You know, if you wanted to have a breakfast or some kind of pastry with it, I think it'd be perfect fine. Enjoyable. And superior to what you would find in a hotel or on a plane. So this is why I'm a kind of an advocate of just grinding yourself, or pre-grinding it and taking it with you, just because, you know what, if you're buying really nice quality coffee, either it's going to be a journey for you to get a proper cup that's equivalent or better. Like if you'd have to do your research and find a really great coffee shop that sources really great coffee and prepares it really well, and then go to them and then have coffee, which you may not have the time to do, or you may not have the inclination to do. This way, you get to bring your own coffee, and it's much more enjoyable than what you would find at the hotel, much more enjoyable than you'd find at the chain stores. So, something to think about. All right, so how's anything going on for Halloween? I know Brian typically has an epic setup in his house. I've got some, I bought a little bag of $100,000 bars. There was at the grocery store yesterday for $4. They're like, you know, little small, little snacky ones. And I only bought a little bit because, you know, the chances of any child coming by our roastery is almost non-existent. And, you know, the bags of candy that I actually like Snickers and Three Musketeers, they were like $7 a bag versus $4. I was like, well, you know, I can deal with the $100,000 bar if I had to eat them all. But I don't want to spend $7 on the other stuff. That would be ridiculous. But when we had the Hamden shop downtown in the city, you know, we used to pass. I do miss that. We used to sit out there from like 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock. And we passed out candy to all these kids that would come to the neighborhood. We had a big block party going on that Ma Petite Shoe, another merchant, would host every year. And, you know, we would give out 600. We would give a candy to 600 kids, you know, because we would. You know, we had to be a little bit strict on how much we gave to each kid. Like, it wouldn't be like we give small handfuls. We only give one because, you know, we're we're talking about 600 plus kids, at least 600 kids. We always budgeted for 600 children. And if your parents wanted something, their teens wanted something, give them too. We'll be so stingy with candy. Yeah. And plus, like what I didn't like is that when you go to, like, I always want to give the nicer stuff. Like I got the $100,000 bars here, which are good. But I always liked, we would buy our candy. It would, like you get those people that buy the Smarties and all that, and those are nice. But you want like, I don't know. When I was a child, I was like, man, someone give me the nice size little like fun size pieces, right? Of like Snickers and Three Musketeers and Milky Way and Twix, Kit Kat. Like I like Crackle, but it's not Nestle Crunch, right? It's not the same. It's not the same. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. Happy Halloween to all of you. Hope you have a nice day. If you're going out trick-or-treating, enjoy yourselves. Put on a costume, have a nice day. Like this is, in case you're not too familiar, this is the BDU, the battle dress uniform from the colonies in the Battlestar Galactica. And I'd like to tell you only wear this on Halloween, but I really do wear this relatively often. Actually, what I like about this particular, like I do have the BDU pants, right? I got the pants. So it's this particular one is screen accurate. I got it from a costumer that does screen accurate stuff, and I put on these are commander pins, because when I got it like 10 years ago. I was in my early 40s. So when you're in your 40s, you should be a commander in the military. Like one of my friends, when he retired from the Marine Corps, he was lieutenant commander. I was like, all right, excellent. So that's the ranking I'm gonna have. And yeah. So that's kind of what goes on. And but yeah, we'll wear this at cosplay. It's kind of fun. Actually, the nice thing with this, the jacket, I'll sometimes wear the jacket just by itself. Just kind of like a light coat. Anyway, go out, enjoy the Halloween. Have a great one. Mom, good to see you. Baldhead, Dan, Brian, always good to see all of you guys. Have a great day. See you guys tomorrow if you have the time. Back again at 10 o'clock. All right. Until next time.